Radio. I'm your host for Adrenaline Motorsports. The radio program is on 1680 AM on your dial. And we were talking about Mr. Paul Smith, who has written a fabulous book of about all those who actually were involved in the building and manufacturing and inventing these parts for the performance industry back in the early days. And the book is called The Merchants of Speed. And I got to tell you that it just touches on just about everybody that's ever been in the motorsports industry. And a second book is actually in the works, and because a lot of who he spoke to and spoke of there wasn't enough room in this particular book. But I'll just give you an overview of who's in this particular issue. And Tattersfield and Barron, Tony Barron, of course, builds flathead parts as well. Spalding, you're talking about Wayne, which we spoke briefly about, Weber, Wyand, Wilson, Dempsey Wilson, Al Sharp, heads, Mel Scott, Potvin, he made various components, Offenhauser, again, Varney, McGurk parts for the inline engines, Eskandarian, of course, he's mentioned heavily in this book, Howard's cams and rods, Stu Hilborn, you got Chet Herbert in here, Earl Evans, Jack Engel cams, Evans were the flathead parts, of course, Vic Edelbrock, Crane cams, and again, Louis Center, Anson parts and equipment. Lou Center was very involved, and he was really the first I can recall mass merchandiser. He made wheels of various shapes and sizes. He developed a process on wheels that was the forerunner of how they make wheels today. And I got to tell you, he in himself was quite an innovator. I mean, not only did he make wheels, he made connecting rods, he made pistons, he had quite a display of items. He actually ran Top Fuel. He sponsored a Top Fuel car back in the early days. He had just involvement about everything. He was involved with Parnelli Jones in Indianapolis, and again, he just Agajanian. He was involved with those folks. So many things that Lou Center was in. He just got to the point to where, you can only do so much as one person, and he had a tremendous amount of help with his wife Betty in managing the business that they had. And Lou was the creator, and Betty was the business mind behind it all. Because I've had the good fortune to meet her. But I must tell you that when it came time for Anson Automotive to start moving into other areas that were more productive and making a better profit in what they were doing, they ended up selling the piston business to Nick Arias, and Nick Arias had actually been part of Venolia Pistons prior to that, and his partners involved with Venolia Pistons was Bob Toros, the late Bob Toros, and the late Joe Paisano, and they together formulated quite an operation where you had everybody from various forms of racing manufacturing pistons, and Mr. Arias decided that he would give it a shot on his own, and Venolia Piston still exists today. Frankie Paisano, the younger brother of Joe, is now the owner and runner of that particular company, and we visit once in a while. They're like family, basically. And Nick Arias has his own operation there in Gardena, and he has been at it now for 40 years continually, manufacturing pistons for the industry, and he is actually more into the custom products today. I mean, I've seen product from there that pistons large enough to fit into an aircraft engine, and even larger pistons than that go into these tractor engines, which are now used not only for farming but for tractor pulling. When the farmers are done with their fields, they want to go and compete with each other to see how big of a load each one of them can pull, and that's where tractor pulls came into being, is that they were competing with each other, and it became a big sport. So, but you find that all over the Midwest and even the East Coast. I have talked to some engine builders there in Midland, Virginia, that are builders of engines for these tractor pullers, and he tells me that they're alive and well, and there's quite a few events on the East Coast that people just go to in leaps and bounds. And of course you have the farm show that's once a year, and I think that's a 4 or 5 day event, and a lot of them go just for the tractor pulls, but it's a huge event every year. It's held back in the Midwest, and that's an event that I've yet to want to visit. I have that idea in mind, just to go back and see what it's all about, because I've never really been to one of those. Again, my focus has always been in what we know today is land speed racing and drag racing in the early days, of course. And but land speed racing has become a personal love, and it's you're still the innovator. It's still a amateur sport, so to speak, and there's people now that have taken the newly developed parts that we've discussed earlier in the program and now applied them to the land speed racing. But there's all kinds of motors involved in land speed racing. I have a gentleman who is the brother of Jim Dinko, and his son Mike Dinko is his name, and he's using 4 small motors that are the size of a Briggs & Stratton lawnmower that he's developing because he believes that those are the ones that are going to be producing horsepower enough for him to run his vehicle, which is going to be a streamliner, up to the 200 miles an hour he's looking. So aerodynamics is his game, and he's a former employee of Lockheed Aircraft. And so his ideas, like everybody else's, come from different backgrounds, and I'm looking forward to see Mike's project, and that's really a big deal to me anyhow. And of course, mine is the complete opposite. I'm a believer in big engines and big horsepower, and you know, and we have aerodynamics, but not anything like what they're doing with the streamliner. So there's many different people, many different ideas, and it's something to see. The event is held in August every year, which is called a Speed Week, and it'd be something that you might want to see on the internet. And if you want to see pictures of cars that are in those areas, you can get onto the SCTA website or the BNI website, and you'll see cars that run at Bonneville. They even have videos on there. If you get on YouTube, you just type in Bonneville, and my daughters have even put my car on the video there. And it's you go to YouTube and you type in the last name Basic, B-A-C-I-K, which is Brian, my partner. You'll see Land Speed Racing Bonneville 2009. You'll see the car actually running on the salt, and you'll also see it running at the dry lake. So there's a lot of videos there that you can log on to if you want to see what a land speed car does.